A quick look at yourself. So I was browsing the YouTube today, and I found a guy saying this.
Alright, hey YouTube, I just got 5 questions about evolution. I'm not gonna lie, I don't understand it that well. I just need some help. I need some things explained. I'm not trying to challenge anyone. I just wanna, like 5 questions, I just want an answer.
Well, you seem nice enough, sort. I'll answer your questions. Seriously though, it does seem like you're genuinely curious about these questions and you are really searching for answers. So, I will answer them for you.
Alright, question number 1. How do poisonous animals evolve to have poison as a defense mechanism?
Well, there are some things you need to understand. Evolution happens within populations, not with specific individuals. Ergo, it would evolve because it helps the population as a whole survive. If one bird eats one frog and that frog kills it, and then other birds start eating that same species of frog, eventually they're going to, if they don't learn the idea, then eventually they're going to evolve the knowledge that, hey, things with that color code are going to fucking kill us. It's a survival thing, and it happens a lot. The other thing you need to know is that traits like that actually take a lot of time to evolve. And considering how complex poisonous glands are, by the time the frogs actually became poison enough to, kill the birds, they were actually probably already all poisonous. But, yes, technically speaking, one thing has to evolve some new part, or has to evolve sweat glands that give off a toxic substance rather than a non-toxic one. And if that one gets eaten before its descendants have time to, pass that gene on, or if it never passes that gene on in the first place, then yeah, that evolutionary link is going to die out and there won't be any super death frogs. That's it. It's unfortunate, but it happens.
Alright, question number 2. Human intelligence. Throughout evolution, humans are the only ones that have evolved to get more intelligent.
Well, the simplest way to answer this is to say, your question is kind of like asking, why is it that giraffes have longer necks than every other animal currently extant on this planet? There's no reason for it. They just kind of do. It helps them survive. It helps them reproduce. It helps them pass on their genes. It's useful. It's there. There's a reason they have it. It helps them with their communication. It helps them reach higher leaves in the trees. But other than that, there's really no reason to have it. Evolution is not a ladder that you have to climb up. You start from a simple little cell and then eventually become a super intelligent whatever. Evolution just does what it wants, kind of. Whatever will help a creature survive, even if it's completely impractical, will be used. To add on to that, humans aren't the only creatures with intelligence. Sure, we're the only ones that can think logically, as far as we know. We're the only ones who have developed a sophisticated technique of communication. Other animals have, like prairie dogs have evolved quite a unique language, and other animals can use tools, and monkeys even play pretend every now and then. A few animals are actually a lot smarter than we give them credit for, and that's pretty cool. But we're the only ones that have reached sentience in that respect, and again, that's just the way things are.
Alright, question number 3. The birds from the Galapagos Islands have different shaped beaks because there are different shaped and textured fruits, nuts, berries, etc. on the Galapagos Islands, and having a certain type of beak makes them break down the vegetation easier, so it's easier to eat. But the key word there is easier.
Essentially what he's asking is, how come the beaks make it easier for them to eat, but how come they survive better? You have to keep in mind, evolution isn't just about introspecies competition, it's also about interspecies competition. Essentially, that means that it's not just about prey and predator interactions, it's about interactions between the species members itself. So imagine you're on an island and there's a limited amount of cherries to pick that you can have. Now imagine that there's someone else on this island with you. And you have a giant cherry picking machine and they just have hands to pick the cherries with. That's it. Who's going to survive? Who's more likely to get more food and who's more likely to live on that island than the other? If you're both, like, let's say you're worst enemies and you want the other person to die or something. Who's more likely to survive? You, because you have the giant cherry picker machine, right? It's essentially the same idea with the birds. The one more likely to get the food is the one who can get it open faster and then be healthier, be stronger, and be more likely to get a mate. Because other animals will try and come and eat you when you're feeding, and other animals of your same species will come up to you and say, hey, you let me have this goddamn nut or I'm going to kick your ass. So.
Alright, question number 4. Well, this one isn't directly about evolution. This is probably one of the easier questions, but I'll ask it anyway. Alright, so whatever knocked out the dinosaurs, a huge meteor, whatever. Well, why are there other animals out there? I mean...
So essentially you're asking, why is it that dinosaurs went extinct and nothing else did? Well, first of all, lots of other things did too, and second of all, not all of them went extinct. A large number of them did survive, or at least large enough that they were able to evolve into birds, which is pretty cool. But to put it simply, have you ever heard the expression, the bigger they are, the harder they fall? That's essentially what happened to the dinosaurs. A giant meteor came and smashed into the earth. Suddenly there's a limited amount of supply of greenery on the earth, and what's left to do? Or whatever it was that happened, we'll just assume it was a meteor. So there's a limited amount of food left over. So what's going to happen? The large, huge animals that need a lot of food in order to, sustain their daily energy needs are going to go around, and they're going to only be able to get a little bit of it, and then they're going to die because they can't feed. And then the predators and the carnivores that feed on those animals are also going to die because those ones are dying out as well. So that's how that extinction would work. However, the smaller you are, the less energy you usually need. There are exceptions, like the shrew, but generally speaking, little mouse, which was about the size of most mammals at that time, compared to a gigantic Tyrannosaurus Rex, is going to have a lot less energy use. So what happens? Little rat gets all the grass, gets all the meat, gets all the whatever, and manages to survive. Another thing is that there are just so goddamn many of them, it's hard to kill them off. It's the same reason why a nuclear holocaust wouldn't kill cockroaches. It has very little to do with the fact that they have survival to radiation, and a lot more to do with the fact that there really are just so goddamn many of them, it kind of doesn't matter. So that's the basics. It's a little bit more complicated than that, but I hope that at least answers that question.
Question number 5. Why don't animals have an arsenal of offensive and defensive traits?
The simplest answer I can give is energy cost. There are other things involved as well. But the bottom line is, they've done experiments on scorpions and snakes and all sorts of venom-producing animals where they've milked them and then put them in a cage, measured CO2 levels, measured their energy output. And essentially, they show the same level of fatigue as an average person who had just run like 5 miles or something like that. I can't remember the specific distance, or maybe they give the speed for a certain amount of time. I don't know. But essentially it's a lot of exhaustion. And they just need to sit there and relax and refill their venom. The same thing goes with eels with electricity, and the same thing goes with birds with flight. It takes a lot of energy. And if you can't maintain that energy, then you're gonna die. Simple as that. So if you have some creature that has all of these things, it's going to get worn out pretty quickly, and it might not even have the energy to catch its food, to refuel its reserves so that it can start shooting lightning from its curved death claws of doom or whatever. So it's a matter of balance. You can't have too much, because if you have too much, then it's going to require too much energy. And if you have too little, then that's not going to work either. So you usually get 1, maybe 2 things that will help you out, and then after that, you're screwed. And plus, if you don't need that thing to survive, if it's not like deathly, oh my god, if I don't have both laser shooting eye beams and electrified claws and wings, then I'm going to die. If that's not the situation you're in, then it's not going to matter. Generally speaking, if there's no selective pressures, the changes that will come are slow and maybe even sometimes detrimental. They're not going to help you all that much. the helpful things only really show up and only really stay in circumstances where those things are kind of needed. So if a bird doesn't need hyper mega death laser claws, then it's not going to have them. Again, and it's all about energy expenditure. It's not going to have them because it would be a waste. So I hope that answers all of your questions. I'm glad I could help out however I can. Thank you very much for listening to me. I've got to go. Peace, love, and the inevitable flowers. Mwah.